نبدأ.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to the mid morning talk with me, Fazila Isaac, on this beautiful Tuesday morning, the 1st of November. We have another opportunity to have a great month. We are coming to the end of the year, but it's not the end, right? We still have at least 2 more months to make sure that every plan that we put in place, or at least some of the plans we put in place, it can come to fruition, inshallah. Another jam packed show today. We start off with life coach Zaid Ismail, who gives us some insight into the choices scholars should make to enhance their exit from secondary school. At 11:30, we speak to Ayandam Simango, who tells us about empowering men and creating men of wisdom. Midday on the dot, we cross over to Muniba Bayat and Linda Shezi, who highlight the DARE Foundation and the work that they are currently doing in alleviating poverty and giving the girl child comfort and dignity. We end our program with our journey to Islam, where we speak to Miss Universe Philippines 2021, Jasmine Umali, who takes us through her journey to accepting Islam. Don't forget, you can engage with us on our social media platforms. WhatsApp line 061 766 0355. Catch us on Twitter at Salam Media, Facebook www.facebook.com/Salam Media, and stream our program on www.salammedia.com. The time is now 11:11, and we are joined by life coach and author Zaid Ismail. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Jazakallah so much for taking the time to join us today.
My pleasure, and Jazakallah for having me on your show.
So let's kick right into it. Give us a brief introduction to yourself. I spoke to a few people, and when I came to studio, they're like, "Oh, we know Zaid Ismail. He's such a nice guy, and he's so good at it." Tell us about yourself.
What's it to tell? Alhamdulillah, I'm glad to hear that there's positive thoughts about me going around. I'm very passionate about reframing how it is that we see ourselves as humans, because I think we need to do more than just cope with life. So I'm a single father. I'm an author, as you said. I'm a coach. I don't consider myself a coach. I consider myself a sounding board and advisor, so that we can just get fresh perspectives about what it is that we're dealing with, so that we understand where we're heading rather than just what it is that we feel we must do. And that's why today's topic really resonates deeply for me.
And what piqued your interest into getting into this kind of profession?
I I spent 25 years in IT. And in the 25 years, I spent a lot of time building new teams and new functions in different organizations. And the one thing that was always consistent across the board was me taking people from kind of entry-level skill sets and building them up into niche roles, technical roles. And the one thing that always came across the strongest was that the ones that were more successful or more capable weren't because they had a natural inclination towards it. It was because of how they felt about themselves, and that allowed them to show up better. And I always connected with that side of it. And eventually I just decided that my focus on that side of building people up was what was important to me, and not so much the technical stuff that we achieved. And for that reason, also, through personal difficulties that I experienced, I found it very difficult to find meaningful, substantial advice that made sense to what I was dealing with. Everyone was always telling me what I needed to do. They couldn't tell me why it is that I was experiencing difficulty with processing what I had already experienced. And that's why I set out to figure things out a little differently, because the mainstream answers were just not giving me much peace.
And it's not easy, especially if you are making decisions in your life. It's so easy for somebody to just say, no, you must do this, you must do that, but not telling someone why they should do it, or the benefits, the pros and the cons. And then it's fruitless, really. You can't actually advise people in that way. So getting straight into it, like you said, this is a great topic. It's also something that's very close to me, having scholars understand what comes next. They are now at the end, the matriculants, they started their matric journey yesterday with their examination. And, the problem is what happens after the exam, what happens after the last paper. So, what are some of the important decisions that they should start making whilst in school before they even reach the stage? What do you think some of these decisions should be?
I think the most difficult one of all is to connect with why they want to do what they think they need to do after they're done with matric. Um, the thing that I think is really an area of concern is that there's so much emphasis focused on getting matric that there's this automatic assumption that once you have that, you have a start in life. And managing that expectation, I think, is critical. It's critical because it's the disillusionment that sets in after that because of how much more effort and striving is needed to be able to do something with that matric certificate, or to do something meaningful with your life, for that matter. Because as we know, the education system, as well intentioned and comprehensive as it is, it doesn't prepare you for the real world. And more often than not, the matriculants struggle with what is the real world reality that they're facing after they've gone through this academic process.
You did speak on, not just sitting and thinking that matric is all that you need in order for you to be successful. And I remember a few years back when the OLAG school, when Oprah Winfrey had the very first matric graduation, should I say, she mentioned that she doesn't understand why, when it comes to matric, there's such a big hype when there's so much more that needs to come after you know so it makes sense what you just stated. um, so when they're making these decisions when it comes to the schooling environment, right, what should the parents role be in this process?
Oh, the parents' role is critical, and I think with COVID still being relatively fresh, I just want to reflect very quickly on something that played out relative to studies and schooling during the COVID period. Um, we saw how there was this massive focus on ensuring that school continued, that exams would continue, that people could finish the academic year and everything else. And yes, there was some significant importance around that and why it was important to maintain that kind of order and structure and progress. But what it also did was it emphasized the accomplishment of the matric certificate to be significantly more important than anything that we were experiencing emotionally. And from when we talk about parents and their role in this, the one thing we must understand is that parents are generally well intentioned, but it's that good intention that is driven by fear of what it is that their children might experience after school that drives them towards losing sight of who's the human that they're actually dealing with through matric and through school for that matter, and what's coming up or what's coming next. And for parents, I would plead with them absolutely that more than anything else, don't focus on what's a career choice first. First, focus on what is your child's emotional state. How do they feel about themselves and what it is that they're getting into, and how prepared are they emotionally for dealing with the life that comes after school? Because school is a very protected environment, as much as it might be stressful and everything else. And here's the thing: if children are struggling to cope with the stress of a schooling environment, that means that you've got even bigger concerns for what comes after, because in a protected environment, at least you know what to expect. You know what is expected of you. You know what defines success and what doesn't. Once you're out of that space, it becomes that much more difficult to determine what a successful life looks like and how prepared are you, or how geared are you towards being able to do something with that life.
Okay, that actually makes quite a bit of sense, which actually is leading me to the next question that I have. I'd like us to focus on what happens then, after you are done with the matric. So we know the first year out of school, whether it's after passing matric or whether it's getting into, maybe if you left at grade 11 or whatever it is, because now compulsory schooling is up until grade 9. So that first year that you are now not in that protective environment that you just mentioned, it can be really confusing and scary for most, especially like you said, when you are in an environment where there's no emotional support for this, because I don't think people look at it in that way. They don't look at it like there has to be emotional support for something like this, but it is scary. So what are some of the advices that you can give for getting through this transitional stage? We're just going to take a quick ad break, and when we come back, we're going to have you speak on that, inshallah. Stay
Okay.
tuned.
I mean,
Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
There's no smell that takes me back to the comfort of my childhood than the smell of black seed oil being applied by my nanny. Now I'm using Tib black seed in my own home to soothe sniffles and coughs, to help with digestion and immunity, and of course, as part of my beauty routine. After all these years, I've come to appreciate the wisdom in finding comfort and shifa in trusted treatments like Tib black seed. You can find Tib black seed at all leading pharmacies or find out more at blackseed.co.za.
South Africa, are you ready? Penny Appeal South Africa is proud to announce, for the first time in South Africa, For Good Tour featuring Saeed, Rehan Karim, Muad and friends coming to your city in November 2022.
I'm grateful for every single thing you've given me.
Cape Town, 19th of November. Johannesburg, 20th of November. Durban, 26th of November. Get your tickets via Quicket while seats are available. Proceeds in aid of Children of the World Project. Contact 031 1100 573 or email info@pennyappeal.org.za. See you there. For Good Tour, brought to you by Penny Appeal South Africa.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness, and every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and freezer card calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Al Bayt Lodge, your true home away from home. Al Bayt is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists, with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities. Conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities, your stay will be truly unforgettable, as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Al Bayt has to offer. For reservations, call 041 583 6415 or visit www.albaytlodge.co.za.
It's a new beginning. It's a new era. Salam Media, humanitarian journalism.
The time is now 11:23, and we're joined by Zaid Ismail, who is giving us some insight into the transition of our school leaving ages and gearing us up for success. So Zaid, we were speaking before the break on this transitional stage that they would need to go through. What advice or some beneficial advices do you have for that?
I think one of the most important things we need to remember is that We need to understand why it is that we want to pursue whatever we want to pursue when we're done with matric. And this is as important for both the parents and for the child that's taking these steps or having to follow through. Because more often than not, we end up doing things because we're afraid of what would happen if we don't do it. And while that seems like a rational approach to things, what it means is that we're never really following our passion. We're always running away from something.
And
Yeah.
so I think we're having a little bit of a glitch. I think it's a network issue there, but it's fine. So once you reach that stage, now you're coming to the end of the matric stage now, and they are sitting down. You did say that when you are making these choices, it needs to be you deciding why is it that you are making this particular choice, right? When you find the why, then you will find the what it is going to be. So, what should the next step be, after you've decided, okay, this is what I want to do, this is how I want to do it? What kind of support do you think you should then seek out?
It's not a matter of judging whether your reason for it is right or wrong. It's about being aware of what your reason is, right? So I'm not saying that everyone has to be following their passion, because as we can see, the world doesn't work that way. If it did work that way, we'd be in a much better state, right? But what it is that if you are pursuing something because you think it's a lucrative career, understand that that's what you're looking to get from it. If you're pursuing something because you think it's going to be a respectable position that your parents and maybe the community around you or your family is going to admire you for achieving it, then understand that that's what you're getting out of it. So that you don't go in there trying to find this fulfillment of life in what you're doing. Meanwhile, your reasons for doing it was not based on fulfillment. It was based on achieving certain material or emotional goals, right? So understanding why you're doing something is critically important, because if you don't understand why you're doing it, you'll make the assumption that this is your life and you just have to make the best of it. And that's not true, because just like how we said with matric, it's not the be all and end all of your definition of your worth once you finish school. Even your career path, your career choice, it doesn't have to define you for the rest of your life. And one of the most important things for matriculants and for parents of matriculants is that they must understand that as much as you might have done the research and your insights and understanding about what it is that will or won't work or what your interests are and everything else, it's only once you're exposed to something that you realize whether it's for you or not. And they need to allow that experimentation and exploration for their children. And they need to find ways of exposing them to those fields before they convince them that they are committed to it for life, because that's where the emotional duress comes in, is when you get yourself committed to something that you don't have your heart and your soul in it. And that causes all sorts of problems, and it taints all different domains of our life, all because we just felt like we had to and we had no choice.
Speaking on exploration and, looking at other choices that you might have, some would say taking a gap year is a good thing. Others are like, no, the sooner you hit the ground running, the better. What is your take on this?
I think gap years are essential. Otherwise, think of it again, right? We, like I said just now, the schooling environment is very much a protected environment. And make no mistake, university and college is no different. It's also a protected environment. The complexity or the difficulty levels of what you need to achieve in there might be more than school or more rigorous or demanding, but you still have clearly defined boundaries and clearly defined outcomes. So by taking a gap here, you getting yourself out of that safe space, getting a sense of what the real world is about, getting a sense of responsibility, because and importantly, gap years mustn't just be because you want to loaf and travel the world. There must be some purpose behind it. You must know what you're looking for in that gap year. It's not just because you want to throw a party because you've been in school for 12 years or something, and now you believe you deserve a break. Gap year is not to take a break. A gap year is to give yourself an opportunity to discover who you are outside of school life, because that's when you're going to start seeing what connects. Get involved in volunteer programs, get involved with charities, get involved in part-time work or whatever it is, but expose yourself to the different fields and to the different disciplines and industries and things that you think might interest you or that you are interested in, so that you can see whether the real world understanding and experience of it, is it really all it cracked up to be from your career days and from the advice that you received from everyone while you were in school. So the gap year must very much be about discovering what you really truly connect with, rather than just taking a gap year because you need a break from studies.
I think especially in South Africa, when we hear gap year, it's like, I've been in school for 12 years, it's time to take a break now. And you literally sit and do nothing the entire year, you know. I've
Right.
seen a lot of people, like you said, there has to be an understanding of what a gap year is and why you're actually taking that. Is brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So what are some of your final advices on, you know, like making the best choices in order for you to achieve some success?
The most important one, I think, is that we need to remember, and this is not just for matriculants, for everyone out there, including adults that are in their 50s and 60s also, understand that whatever it is that you have achieved so far does not define who you have to be for the rest of your life. And whatever your outcome was in matric, it doesn't mean that is the limit of your capability either. So don't look at your matric results and don't look at your academic accomplishments and think, okay, this gives me my understanding of what my place is in this world. It isn't. You need to allow yourself, and I think the most important advice I kind of give myself these days is that you have to allow yourself to reinvent yourself every chance you get. You need to allow yourself to continue to live curiously. And if you want to experiment and you want to explore, as long as you understand what is the risks around it and what it is that what's the price you're paying for that exploration and discovery, there's nothing that says it's wrong for you to do it. It's about being responsible and accountable for the choices you make, but also making those choices with a clear mind, with understanding, with a rational approach to it, not doing it because it just feels right. That gut instinct, it's overrated. It's highly overrated. Because if you don't know what's driving your gut instinct, you could be making decisions based on fear, based on a whimsical need to be seen a certain way, based on social acceptance. And you'll think, no, my gut just drove me towards that. No, if you don't know what's driving your gut, don't trust your gut. But you need to give yourself an opportunity to explore and move beyond what it is that you thought defined you before.
That's the very first time I've heard "don't follow your gut." I
No,
think we
please
all
don't.
just look at that. It's like, oh, I
Yeah.
feel this way, so go ahead and do it.
Yeah, no. Don't, please. This romantic notion about life, yeah, it's got its place in the movies and in fairy tales and fiction novels, but in the real world, it comes at a cost. It comes at a big price, and if we're not aware of what price we're going to pay for following our instinct, it might actually be the very thing that unseats us from our place of comfort and security. So be careful. Don't be whimsical about life. And don't assume that just because someone said without matric you're nothing, it means you're nothing. It doesn't mean that. I promise you. Matric, if anything, is the entry ticket to some games, not to the game of life. And you need to start recognizing that there is life beyond matric that has nothing to do with academics. And we're seeing it all over the place. We're seeing how there's this massive shortage of skilled artisans and work that is not in the kind of white collar industry and all of those sorts of things. So we need to just change the way we look at what students and children can look forward to once they finish school. Matric, it's a milestone, but that's all it is. It's not a definition of who you are. It's not a definition of what the future looks like. It's purely just a milestone that gives you an indication of what you're capable of.
Beautifully, beautifully said. I couldn't have put it better myself. Jazakallah so much for taking the time to join us today and for giving us this insight. It's been an absolute pleasure and very, very enlightening. Jazakallah khair.
Barakallah. Jazakallah for the opportunity to share my thoughts on this.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
That was Zaid Ismail, life coach and author who came with some absolutely much needed advice. Don't forget, take that advice, listen to it. He said something so beautiful: allow yourself to reinvent yourself every chance you get. Again, most importantly, writing your matric, yes, it's a milestone, but like Zaid has advised, it's not the ticket to all the games, right? There's so much more that you can do even without a matric. So explore these things, take the time to make good choices, and build a successful future for yourself. The time has hit 11:34. We're going to take a quick ad break. And when we come back, we will be speaking to Ayanda Msimango, who will be speaking to us about empowering men. Stay tuned.